You are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. One of Poland's most senior bishops has called upon the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church to convince President Vladimir Putin to cease Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In a letter published on Wednesday, Archbishop Stanislaw Gadecki of Poznan, who is president of the Polish Bishops' Conference, called upon Patriarch Kirill of Moscow to, quote, appeal to Vladimir Putin to stop the senseless warfare against the Ukrainian people. Archbishop Gadecki also called on Kirill to urge Russian soldiers, quote, not to take part in this unjust war, to refuse to carry out orders, which, as we have already seen, he says, lead to many war crimes. Patriarch Kirill has received criticism from various quarters in recent weeks for seemingly being ambiguous in his response or even approving of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. 3 days before the current military action began, the Patriarch urged all the Russian Orthodox faithful to, quote, protect our common historical fatherland from all outside actions that can destroy this unity. 75-year-old Patriarch Kirill has been Patriarch of Moscow and Primate of the Russian Orthodox Church since 2009. Meanwhile, the Vatican is sending medical aid to help the growing number of refugees caused by the present conflict in Ukraine. The supplies are being gifted by Pope Francis through the Office of Papal Charities. The papal gifts were brought to the Basilica of Santa Sofia in Rome this week. That's the national church of the Ukrainian Catholic community in Italy. There to collect and dispatch the aid was Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, who is the almoner of the Office of Papal Charities. The papal supplies include syringes, bandages, disinfectants and other medical equipment, as well as tinned food and toys for children. The aid is now bound for Lviv, the western Ukrainian city, which is closest to the Polish border. A court in Iran has quashed the conviction of 9 Christian converts who were serving prison sentences for acting against national security and promoting Zionist Christianity. The ruling by the Tehran Court of Appeals on Monday comes after a Supreme Court judge ordered a review of the 9 convictions in November of last year. The group, which consists of a Protestant clergyman and 8 members of his community, was originally found guilty in September 2019. Those sentenced include the Reverend Matthias Abdul Reza Ali Hajanaj of the self-styled Church of Iran. This week, the Tehran Court of Appeal found that there was insufficient evidence that the Christians had acted against national security, referencing their lawyer's explanation that they had only worshipped in a house church in accordance with the teachings of Christianity, and that Christians are taught to live in obedience, submission, and support of the authorities. The news of this week's court decision was welcomed by several international human rights groups, including the Christian advocacy group Christian Solidarity Worldwide, who have long been campaigning for their release. It's been announced that Pope Francis will visit South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo in July. The Holy See Press Office said on Thursday that the Pope would visit the African countries from July the 2nd to the 7th, following invitations from the respective heads of state. Hence, from July the 2nd to the 5th, Pope Francis will visit the Congolese cities of Kinshasa and Goma, followed by a trip to the South Sudanese city of Juba from July the 5th to the 7th. The press office said a more detailed itinerary of the apostolic visit will be announced in due course. Both African states have been ravaged by conflict in recent years. Kentucky's Republican Attorney General can continue to defend a state law banning a particular abortion procedure, even though it's been struck down by lower courts and is not supported by either the state's Democratic governor nor health secretary. That's the decision of the US Supreme Court handed down on Thursday. By 8 votes to 1, the Supreme Court justices said that Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron could continue to fight for the state's abortion law reform of 2018, despite the fact that a trial court and appellate court had called it unconstitutional, and the state's health secretary, Democrat Eric Friedlander, declined to review both those decisions. The law in question bans an abortion procedure known as dilation and evacuation, which is often used to kill life in the womb during the second trimester of pregnancy. When the law passed in 2018, the state of Kentucky had a pro-life Republican governor. He lost power, however, in 2019 to a pro-abortion Democrat. Catholics in Iraq have been prayerfully commemorating the first anniversary of Pope Francis's historic journey to their homeland. It was on March the 5th last year that the Holy Father became the first ever pontiff to visit Iraq. The country's Christian community, which is largely to be found in the north of Iraq, is still recovering from years of occupation by Islamic State. In the wake of the papal visit, The government of Iraq declared Christmas Day a national holiday. Meanwhile, many churches destroyed by ISIS have been rebuilt, and some 120 homes have been returned to Christians who had lost their properties after fleeing the Islamist occupation. Meanwhile, Pakistan has been marking the 11th anniversary of the assassination of the Catholic politician Shahbaz Bhatti. Mr. Bhatti, who was the Federal Minister for Minority Affairs, was killed by Islamist terrorists in the city of Islamabad on March the 2nd back in 2011. It's thought that he was targeted for his efforts to protect the rights of religious minorities in Pakistan and for his attempts to foster inter-religious harmony. This week, religious leaders from all communities gathered in the port city of Karachi for a well-attended national memorial service. Those present heard pleas for the Pakistani government to do more to root out terrorism and promote social harmony. In 2016, the Diocese of Islamabad Rawalpindi formally opened a cause of beatification for Shahbaz Bhatti, who is currently designated by the Church as a servant of God. That's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.